Hey everyone, off the Mike Sports Network here. Gonna do something a little bit different. We're gonna talk women's college basketball because that is where I think one of the big stories is emerging. The last remaining undefeated team across all of Division One men's and women's college basketball has fallen as UCLA loses their first game of the season. They won their first 23 consecutive games, but they lose to rival USC. Um, Really amazing start for UCLA and Corey Close. I have a ton of respect for that program and what they've built there. But that's not what the story is of this game. First of all, yes, UCLA did lose, and amazing start to the season. The story here is Juju Watkins, and I have been talking about this on my social media and stuff because I got to cover her for 1 year in the Pac-12 when I covered the Pac-12. This girl is special. And we spent so much time in the last couple years and completely justified. Caitlin Clark took women's college basketball, women's sports, and just the sports world in general by storm the last several years with just the way that she played the game and just how exciting and just like what a pop culture phenomenon she has become. And she took that to the WNBA. So she's gone this year. You now have Iowa's got a new coach. They've got a lot of things going on there that are completely different. And we're trying to find who's going to be the one to take the baton from Caitlin Clark and continue this thing on. And I've always said that it would be and should be Juju Watkins. For whatever reason, it really hasn't registered this season. USC has lost 2 games already this season. They're number 6 in the country, but they lost to Notre Dame. Notre Dame's got another one of those potential future faces in Hannah Hidalgo. So depending on how much you love women's college basketball, Juju's just different. And tonight specifically, like fully hammered home why this woman has just taken really seized control of being the best player in women's college basketball. She goes the final score of this game was 71-60. Juju Watkins in this game, 38 points. 38 points. She outscored her own team by 5. But let me read you this stat line because this is insane. She goes 12 of 26 on the floor, 6 of 9 shooting threes, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 8 blocks. She almost had a triple-double with blocks. Do you guys realize how hard that is to do in men's basketball, let alone women's basketball? Like, it is hard to get 8 blocks in a game. And when Lauren Betts, for those who don't follow women's college, Lauren Betts is 6'7", one of the tallest players in America. Juju Watkins is 5 inches shorter than her at 6'2", and blocked her twice in critical points in this game that flipped the momentum when this game was really kind of teetering one way or the other. And UCLA could not score. They could not score. UCLA scored 8 points in the fourth quarter of this game. USC outscored it by 16. Like it was a struggle in the second half to score points, specifically 9 points for USC in the third. But Juju Watkins, this was a Kobe Bryant takeover type of a game. Like this was Caitlin Clark. We always knew Caitlin Clark for her ability to handle the ball and to, she gets turnovers and she's a great passer. Juju Watkins did just about everything in this game. She had a steal in this game. Only 1 foul, 38 points. Like this was an all-time performance. And the shame in all of this is it was on Peacock, and so if you didn't have Peacock and you couldn't watch this, you didn't get a chance to see one of the best players in America. I think we found our new Caitlin Clark, and I really hope that women's college basketball gets behind this, but gets behind USC, gets behind Juju Watkins as a star because the bun and just the way that she wears her hair. There's so many ways to market, and this is freaking Los Angeles for God's sake. Like get people just rallying behind her. I really just obviously with the football season running long, maybe now it'll finally kick into gear. And once we get to March Madness and USC maybe ends up being a 1 seed again, but what she has been able to do in her first season and a half, really, of college basketball is nothing short of remarkable. And she's still got another season left of eligibility. Like, one of my buddies who is a USC fan, he made a good point. Juju's one of the best college basketball players, women's college basketball, actually just since Candace Parker. Like, think about the tradition and the legacy that she is already creating at USC. Because USC hasn't been to a Final Four in a couple of decades, maybe even longer than that, but probably since the days of Lisa Leslie but Lisa Leslie and Cheryl Miller and Cynthia Cooper are really like legends across the women's game. They all went to USC. But there hasn't been anybody quite as good as any of those players up until now for USC. And let's not forget, USC's got other players on this team that are really good. Kiki Urfn, the transfer from Stanford, only had 13 points, 4 of 14 shooting. But when Juju Watkins goes for 38 points and blocks 8 shots against one of the best teams in college basketball, it's almost moot. And this just shows how special a talent she is. And I hope people start to recognize that the next Caitlin Clark is right in front of their eyes. And it's just a shame that a lot of people didn't get to see this because it was 10 p.m. Eastern on the East Coast. It was on Peacock. We've got to do more to get more eyeballs on USC and Juju Watkins because they've only lost twice. Ironically, they did lose to Iowa, and then they lost to Notre Dame. But USC is going to be a problem. And mark my words, if this team goes on a run and potentially goes to a Final Four and could potentially win a national title, the media publicity behind Juju Watkins will be insane because that's all that anybody had been talking about since Caitlin Clark left for the WNBA and, didn't go back to Iowa, even though she could have technically gone back. And now she's with the Indiana Fever. This is Juju's sport, basically. And we'll see if she gets another crack at Notre Dame because Hannah Hidalgo is going to have something to say about that. Paige Beckers at UConn, but Paige Beckers is going to be gone next year. Juju is probably going to be one of the flag bearers of this sport, at least until she decides to move on to the WNBA, because I can't see her staying for a 4th year. But who knows? Like, the NIL prospective thing could maybe influence her to stay another year. But the big takeaway from this game is that, first of all, UCLA is really, really good. They were going to lose eventually, but to see the manner of the way that this game ended, I think they went on a 12-1 run at one point, and a couple of a series where Juju got a block and it led to points. It was an all-time dominant performance in the pantheon of basketball or in college basketball. You just don't see stuff like this. Even men or women, you do not see stuff like this unless it's somebody truly, truly special. Caitlin Clark didn't even do something like this. 38, 8 blocks, 11 rebounds, 5 assists. Unbelievable. Outscored her own team against the number 1 team in college basketball, the last remaining undefeated team. And it's all because Juju Watkins put on a legendary performance. So that's what I've got on this. Hopefully this shines a light for more. If you're a USC fan, get at me in the comments. Because seriously, I from seeing her last year, and I knew she was fantastic, but legends and legacies are defined by how you play in top level games against rivals. And this was a rivalry game, a conference game, the number 1 team in the country, undefeated team. And Juju was far and away the best player on the floor. I gave you the stat line. I still can't believe that this performance actually happened, because it's honest to God, across all my years of watching basketball, men's or women's basketball, this is as good of a performance all around. And people will come at me and say, well, Caitlin Clark scored 49 or whatever and did all her points. Guys, I love and appreciate what Caitlin Clark did for the women's game. She's not blocking 8 shots and blocking a girl who's probably going to be one of the primary contenders for National Player of the Year in Lauren Betts, who's 5 inches taller than her and blocked her on 2 separate occasions late in this game when the game was relatively left up to chance. It was like a 3-point game. Unbelievable stuff from Juju Watkins. Anyway, I will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.